listening to the GM Shuffle, presented by DraftKings and VSiN.
Welcome into the GM Shuffle. I am Geoff Schwartz alongside Marty Hurney. 8 years NFL for me, 30 years NFL for Marty. As usual, GM Shuffle presented by DraftKings. DraftKings, the crown is yours. And this is a Tuesday episode because guess what? It's holiday season. Christmas is on Thursday. So we'll preview the Christmas games, the Saturday games, the Sunday games, knowing full well that we have not had some games played yet for the last week, Marty, as we record this on a Monday. Make sure to tune in, by the way, to our Monday recap episode. But we're going to hit everything moving forward from here on out. Marty, odds for playoffs, divisions, things we like, and also stories, news, and notes. Are still early in the week, so tough to tell sometimes on some of these news notes. But very quickly, it's kind of a newsy topic as we get going here for preview the games. The Chiefs, or the media in Kansas City, has announced the Chiefs are planning to move to Kansas, to move out of Missouri, which they are currently now. As we know, Kansas City is sort of split in the middle, half in Kansas, half in Missouri, but obviously iconically the Arrowhead and Kauffman Stadium, where the Royals play, in the same place. I hate this, Marty. I have a very simple view of these discussions and these stories. Quite simply, the owners should pay for their own stadiums. I think that's not very controversial. Stan Kroenke did it. He built a $7 billion stadium, Marty. Now, some owners don't have all that money. Totally understand it. But the Hunts have the money to stay in Kansas City, and stay in Missouri, stay where they're at, figure something out. Instead, they're going to Kansas, and one of the great stadiums in the history of the NFL, Marty, has a short lifespan now before they move into what I imagine would be a dome stadium, which, how many games have Chiefs won over the years because it was cold and miserable in Arrowhead?
Yes.
That's now going to be gone.
Yeah, and I'm old school like that. You know that. I'd rather see it played outside in those elements as well. And how much does it affect the fan base? It's still relatively close to each other, where they are now and where they'll be.
Yeah, look, I think it's just a matter of it's more expensive. I imagine PSLs are going up. I imagine all these things are happening that make it more difficult to pay for tickets and access to games, right? Families have had tickets to Arrowhead for generations, I would imagine, right? And the PSL, I don't know if Arrowhead has PSLs, obviously. You know what's funny? The Panthers were the first team, I believe, to do PSLs here in Charlotte. And so that's a private seat license. So you buy a seat license to own the seat forever, essentially. Then you pay, obviously, on top of that for season tickets. And also you have to buy playoff tickets, I learned, by the way. You have to buy them no matter what if you want to keep your PSLs in certain places. So the Panthers, I was talking to someone yesterday about this. They're making the postseason. Hosting a home playoff game would cost someone I know a lot of money to buy 6 playoff tickets that they required to buy. But besides the point of PSLs, to me, it's just the environment, man. It's just different. It's just going to be different. And all the memories in Arrowhead, all the Super Bowls now they won at Arrowhead, the noise, it's not going to be as loud, won't be as raucous, won't be as crazy, won't be as much passion in the stadium. I know that's where we're going now. I don't like this movement to Chicago having to go play in Indiana potentially to get the deal they want and to get the dome they want. The Browns moving away from the river, the lake, going to play in a dome stadium, man. I don't like it. Not my favorite thing about the NFL.
Yeah, but it happens. And, the truth of the matter, Geoff, is if you win, they will come. So that's really what you have to focus on, is just put a winning organization out there. The Chiefs have done that. And, I don't know all about the political stuff and the business side of it, but they have they put a product out there that has united that region and the people in Kansas City. And, if Patrick Mahomes comes back, and I'm one of the ones that I think he's going to be back by the opener, if not, maybe 4 games in. But they come back and pick up and start winning again, because they will come back and start winning again. They are not a train wreck. Everybody acts like, Kansas City's got all this rebuilding to do. They really don't. I mean, when you have Patrick Mahomes back there, it starts with him. They'll have pieces around them. As long as they can keep Andy Reid and Steve Spagnuolo around, they'll be in decent shape. So, I just right now it's hard for Chiefs fans because that's another change, right, Geoff? I mean, this is hard for Chiefs fans. They're not that it's December. They're usually counting on playoff games and Super Bowl parties, and they got nothing right now. So I understand it's just another thing to deal with.
It is, and but they'll be able to figure out. We'll talk about the Chiefs game in a little fuller in a few minutes here as we preview and get to some of these Thursday games on Christmas, and we'll talk about any futures we like, the numbers we like. Props on up yet, unfortunately, as we record this for a lot of these games as we go through here. But look, just from a base perspective, Christmas, Marty, no Jaden Daniels, no JJ McCarthy. No Patrick Mahomes, no Gardner Minshew. It is a lot of blah. The quarterback, potentially no Mariota, who hurt his hand against the Eagles. So maybe we'll see Josh Johnson. I mean, just a real mess of games. But that's what happens in Week 17. We'll talk about it in many ways. According to DraftKings right now, the number is Dallas favored by 6.5 total, 50.5. For this game on Thursday, the first game, 1 p.m. on Netflix on Christmas, Marty. Any first thoughts on this game here?
Yeah, I think it's interesting to kind of look into the mindsets of NFL teams and organizations right now that are basically out of it, right? And I think the whole analytics mindset of you have to get value deep down, and nobody's ever going to go out and say, we're not going to try to win this game. But if you have a losing record, you're out of the playoffs, organizationally, it is in your best interest to get the highest draft pick you can get for the following year. And the way you do that is you don't want to win a bunch of meaningless games. Now, nobody ever talks about that, but I think that, the mindset inside the building is very important for teams like that. And this one is, the Cowboys Commanders. I think the mindset's very important for both teams. You've got Dallas, who is still relatively healthy on the offensive side of the ball. And a few weeks ago, they beat the Commanders by 22 points. And now you have the Commanders, who could be down to their third string quarterback in Josh Johnson. Laramie Tunsil is questionable right now with a strained oblique. Brandon Coleman's been hurt. Hopefully he's coming back. Sam Cosmi's in concussion protocol. Jalen Lane, their returner receiver's out with an ankle injury. So they have a lot of injuries. But I still think they're going to come out and play as hard as they can. Cowboys beat them by 22 points. But it really is in these games, I think, when you're deciding what moves to make, I think it really is important to try to figure out the mindset of each team and each organization going into that game.
Okay, I'm glad you talked about this, Mark, because this is very important to discuss, okay? Tanking, okay? Now, unfortunately, I've been on the end of this, okay? And this is the way that it works, all right? We prepare as players Monday through Sunday to win every single game. Every coach prepares to win every single game. There is no lack of preparation when you're losing. Prepare the same way every week, right? We're professionals. We're getting paid. We're going to go out and win the game. The way that you lose games is personnel decisions made by front office personnel, right? We're going to bench a quarterback. Jaden Daniels, you're out. You're done, right? We're gonna, Garrett Wilson, you're out for the season. We don't, we're not bringing you back. That's how it works, right? That's how it works.
Sure.
And
always blame the front office guys.
It is your fault because I don't make roster decisions. Now, you can pass the buck up to the owner in the situation I'm talking about if you would like. That's okay. He can't defend himself, but it might not have been your fault exactly. Now, to be fair, that year we didn't tank. Like, we just were bad, okay? Like, that's what it was. But that's what teams do, right? Is that you do it by roster decisions, not by saying we're trying to lose. And even in those games, no one's coaching to lose, Marty. No one's playing to lose. Here's the reason why. Here's the reason why. When you're evaluating film as a general manager or front office personnel guy, you're not evaluating someone on a 2-13 team thinking, you know what, Geoff Schwartz is not trying to win the game. You know what? Well, we'll give Schwartz a pass for giving up a sack. They're not trying to win. No, you screw that bum who gave up a sack, right? Like, all the film matters. Doesn't matter if you're winning or losing indifferent. It all matters. And so as players, we know that. Now, you might play a little more selfishly at the end of a bad season, knowing your film will matter a lot if you're a free agent or your new coach is coming in is going to cut you. You might play a little more selfishly, but the fact is the film is graded as it is, right? There's no thought about winning, losing. And so as a player, you can't succumb to the idea that your team's trying to lose. Also, why do you care about next season if you're going to be a free agent or fringe roster player? You're not tied to the team. So all those reasons why no one is actually trying to lose. Now, roster decisions, and of course, coaching decisions can matter. If you're on a team that has a coach secure, if you're Dan Quinn, let's use him as an example. He can make decisions in game, punting the ball, right? Kicking a field goal, taking a knee that help them lose. Absolutely. It's happened before. It will happen again. But for the most part, a lot of coaches this time of year that they're coaching bad teams are going to lose their jobs. So like they're not in it to get a better draft pick next season.
No.
So there's my long spiel, Marty, on the end of the season. I think it's a misconception that we're trying to tank. You try to tank via who's playing quarterback.
Yeah, and let's make it clear. I'm not saying that. Nobody goes out and tries to tank, but there are there's an organizational mindset. And as you say, it does come through more in personnel, okay? If the Commanders were in the playoff hunt, would some players be playing that aren't going to be because they're not? And it's not in a conscious effort to lose. It's just doing what's best for your team moving forward.
Absolutely. Again, you're not trying to lose. If you do lose, it's okay. And there are teams this weekend where that's okay. And that's the hardest part about picking these games. We'll talk about these games moving forward is who's going to play hard, what the purpose is of playing hard. So we'll talk first with the Christmas games next on Jim Show, presented by DraftKings Network.
You're listening to the GM Shuffle, presented by DraftKings and VSiN.
We're back on the GM Shuffle. We'll talk about Christmas games and the rest of the slate here in just a few minutes. A couple other topics to get to, Marty. I know you want to talk about some of these young quarterbacks that we've seen so far this season, whether it is Tyler Shuck, Shadur Sanders. Cam Ward is getting better each and every week. I feel like whoever gets that job in Tennessee is getting a quarterback that, you know, it's been good for him to play this season, right? There's always talk about whether or not guys should play or hold them out. It's been good experience for him this season. But Marty, what quarterback do you want to start with as far as the young guys?
Well, I think we can start with Tyler Shuck. He's won, 3 games in a row now. And, you know, they didn't play him till after midway through the season. And I just keep going back. And listen, I think the thing that really kind of stops people from talking a lot about him is the fact that he was in college 7 years. And I looked at him the first time 4 years ago when I thought he was initially coming out. But this guy's a pure passer, Geoff. He's got decent feet. He can move in the pocket. You know, he's not going to make any set any records with his feet running, but he can still run the ball and get out of trouble. This guy's got a future, I think, and he was a second-round pick. So, in the Saints will have a high pick, but I think he playing enough to stop them from going after somebody else. You know, I'm sure that a lot of people are asking now, why didn't you play him earlier in the year? He's had some really impressive moments and in some of those throws that you just go, wow, you know, and he's got elite arm talent. He is a pure passer. So, he's very interesting to me. And I'll get your take on before we go to Shadur.
Yeah, I think that he's the quarterback next season. I mean, he was drafted 40th. Like, he was drafted in that range where he becomes their guy move forward next season. And he was drafted by this staff. It makes a difference, right? If he was not drafted by the staff, maybe they go somewhere else. You say he's 27?
Yeah, I was guessing there. He's in that area. He's older. He's not that old, but he's older. He's older.
I was in like year 7.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
No, well, and I think that's a big reason why he didn't get talked about a lot.
26. He's 26. I was in year 5. Yeah, I'm young though.
Because anybody that has watched the tape, you can see the talent. And I just think that, because people always say, what about the old guy? He's 26. Yeah, he will be 27 next September. So I think that's why he's kind of flown under the radar, but he's got a lot of ability now.
He does. Let's talk about Shedeur Sanders. Now, to be fair, I have not watched a ton of Shedeur Sanders. The Browns games have not interested me very much. I get a limited opportunity to watch some of the games, Marty, as I cover college football full time. And even today, I've done college football, switched off between college football and NFL back-to-back hours. So I'll leave a lot of this to you. Otherwise, from what I've seen, I mean, look, from a base level, I think he's proven he can play in the NFL. The question is whether or not the new Browns coach is going to want him to be his quarterback, right, Marty?
Yeah.
Guys having success outside of the top 2 rounds is rare in the NFL. Again, Dak Prescott, who sort of fell into the position he was in because Romo was hurt. Brock Purdy. I'm sure I'm missing a couple other guys that are not Kirk Cousins, I guess, in essence. But for the most part, the starting quarterbacks in the NFL all come from the first 2 rounds. And this would be a situation where it's a 5th round pick for whatever reason, why he's there, still a 5th round pick, getting an opportunity to be your starting quarterback moving forward would be rare. How do the Browns approach this?
Well, I think where you start, you say, okay, let them get through the season, evaluate the tape on both Dillon Gabriel and Shedeur Sanders. And then the question that you ask yourself is, okay, if Shedeur's the guy that you like the best, is he good enough to at least be our backup quarterback the next couple of seasons?
Yes.
I think that's what you have to start with. Then you go into the draft, you don't reach, you go into free agency, you just try to pursue every avenue as far as a quarterback goes. But if he can be a guy who you think can be a good backup quarterback, I think it helps you a lot because you got a guy there that's going to be there for 3 more years. So listen, on Shedeur, I liked him coming out of college. I think he makes plays. Unscripted plays are probably his strongest suit. He's got one flaw that he's got to correct, and I don't know whether he can correct it or not, and that's just holding on to the football too long. Does he see things develop, and can he see things quickly enough to get the ball out of his hands consistently? And that's going to be the question on him. I don't know the answer to that yet. He's had flashes. He's got arm strength. He's got athletic ability. Gets out of the pocket, keeps his eyes downfield, has the arm strength to make every throw, I think. It's just whether he sees things quick enough to get the ball out. And I don't think we've seen that yet. And obviously, the Browns will have a better feel for that, but that would be my one concern with him.
Yeah. And obviously we've seen that the transition from college to the NFL, that guys take a lot of sacks in college, tend to take a lot of sacks in the NFL. However, we're seeing what coaching has done for Caleb Williams, for example. Right? Took a ton of sacks in college, and it's improving in the NFL with better coaching. That Browns job is interesting because I think they have a lot of good pieces there, Marty. Quinshon Judkins, by the way, announced he did a fracture dislocated ankle, so it's a non-compound fracture, I believe, which is good. So I had the same injury. He'll be just fine. I wasn't fine. I was 30 and fat. He's 22 and athletic. He'll be just fine with his injury. It's so this is something that just always, it's sort of pissed me off. So me and Alex Mack had the same injury, like the same week, the center for longtime center. And he bounced back fine. He played like 7 years, Marty, after he got the same injury. I remember we had the Browns, I think, were in town in Charlotte. And I went to see like him and my brother or something. And we both had leg boots on. Like we both had the surgery. Like we were both like, and And he was fine. The rest of his career, not a problem. And my fat ass just couldn't never get healthy, man. I never got back to 100%. Never happened. Just never got healthy again. And he was fine. And so, I mean, good for him. Obviously, he's a great player, but just like same injury, like same week we had it, or within the same couple of weeks, and just never happened. Never changed.
Same name, but they're all different injuries, Geoff. You know that, and how it affects one guy affects somebody else totally differently. So,
absolutely. I never got that pop back. You know, like when you get I just never got like that spring back in my ankle. It never came back. I mean, I played through the next year, but it is what it is. It got beat up too much, and that's the end of it. So, moving along here to the rest of Saturday games. But first, if you like what you're hearing here on the GM Shuffle, is even more at VSiN Pro. Betting splits, power rating, sharp analysis, all for $9.99 your first month. Go to vsin.com/subscribe and check out all the subscription options. Marty, let's get to Saturday now. Commanders, Cowboys, we talk about it. Dallas here by 6.5, total 50.5. It does feel like the Cowboys just sort of have the motivation here. I know Jerry Jones came out and said this week that the expectations were not met, but I do feel like the Dak Prescott still playing for a lot. He's still playing hard. The offense has a ton of weapons. The Commanders just feel like that was sort of their last effort was last week. It started well, didn't end very well. There's fighting happening. Did you see, by the way, that fight where basically the entire Commanders defense jumped the Eagles' right guard? Now, the right guard probably will be suspended for starting it and throwing punches, but that was, I don't think I've ever seen a defense in the middle of a game sort of go and attack a one offensive lineman like that.
Yeah, and that's, when you talk about this game, under Dan Quinn, I have always been impressed with how hard the Commanders come out and play, how prepared they look. And they're going to fight, Geoff. I mean, that's just, and the division games like that, they're not going to quit fighting. I just don't know where they're healthy enough on the offensive side of the ball, particularly the offensive line, to really compete. Not that Dallas has a great pass rush, but if you have, let's say that Mariota's not playing, you've got Johnson in there. Pressure and protection could be a very important part of this game, and that's why, honestly, I think that Dallas being favored by 5.5 feels like a little bit of a low number to me. You're talking about a team that just doubled them up 3 weeks ago, right? So, and the Commanders are injured and not healthy. The Cowboys are relatively healthy. Quentin Williams should come back, I would assume, this week. So, I like the Cowboys here.
Cowboys over 20.5 team total points interest me in this game. This game is outside in Washington. Weather looks fine, by the way. So that's always worth noting, right? When the weather is poor outside this time of year, it's worth mentioning, but obviously not a problem here in this game. Inside in Minnesota, Lions at the Vikings. Again, Max Brosmer on track to start here for the Lions, for the Vikings, which means the Lions are favored here by 6. This will probably spill over to the next segment, but it's worth discussing. The Lions miss Ben Johnson a lot, and maybe Aaron Glenn a lot. And I know that they had injuries on defense, but the offense is just not the same, which, again, I mean, it makes sense. I thought they would be okay. And maybe that was naive on me, but we also saw early in the season Ben Johnson's team wasn't as good. Dan Campbell took over play calling. But clearly, whatever percent worse they are, and we talked about this for a while. Like Jared Goff is good, but if everything around him isn't great, how good can he be? We're thinking the limitations a little bit now, and the offensive line just isn't as good. So all those reasons, Marty, the Lions are not as good this season. It does feel like whatever they had going for them, that mojo, that confidence, whatever that is now dissipated, and that sort of run they had for a couple of years is now over.
Well, it's just like when you have a lot of good players, Geoff, you can't let him go. And listen, you can't stop a head coach, an assistant coach taking a head coaching job. But when you lose your continuity like that, it's definitely going to hurt you. So, I think Dan Campbell's still done a great job. I think he's a terrific head coach. But when you lose a coordinator like Ben Johnson, who's gone, in the same division and shown what he can do, it's going to be, you're going to have to find a way to recover from that.
You absolutely are. And let's talk about the Vikings and J.J. McCarthy, because we haven't had a real discussion about what they do with McCarthy next season. We'll do that next. GM Shuffle, presented by DraftKings Network.
You're listening to the GM Shuffle, presented by DraftKings and VSiN.
Welcome back to the GM Shuffle. We're continuing our preview of the Christmas Day games. We're diving deep in these as best we can because of the quarterback situation and a bunch of games, Marty. I want to talk J.J. McCarthy, who his Vikings team, 6-point underdogs against the Lions here. In the NFL, he tore his right meniscus, missed entire rookie season 2024. He missed 2 weeks with a high ankle sprain this season. He had a concussion already this season. He had an injury to a hand and then another hand injury, I think the same hand, this week, and appears that he will have x-rays and figure out what's wrong with him, and he's not going to play. 2 years now, a knee, an ankle, a concussion, and a hand. 4 injuries, Marty. You're the general manager in Minnesota. What's discussion like this offseason about McCarthy's injuries?
Well, I think it's more of, okay, we need to bring somebody in and either as an insurance policy or compete. Well, I think that they still feel good about J.J. McCarthy as a person, as a player. But he needed to come back, especially from the first injury this year. He needed to come back and prove he could stay on the field, and he has not done that. So I think that there's obviously has to be some measure of concern there as far as whether next year, if he comes back and does it again, that's probably the last year you're going to want to try and give him a chance to stay around and get better. But I do think he's got a lot of positives and can be a good quarterback in the NFL, but you've got to be able to stay on the field. And, Geoff, it's very similar. I mean, a little different because Jayden Daniels came in last year and the Commanders went to the NFC Championship game. He's a tremendous quarterback. But in evaluating him out of LSU, the only concern, and I mean the only concern about Jayden Daniels was durability because of his frame. It's just more of a slighter frame. He had everything else, and I fell in love with him. But you knew that was a gamble you were going to take. He's certainly tough. He popped right up, and we'll see. Next year will be a similar thing. He's got to come in and stay healthy. But I think there's too much to like about J.J. McCarthy. I know I like him more than you do, but I think that you just got to come out and got to protect yourself, whether it's in the draft, whether it's through free agency. You have to get a guy you think can win games for you. If J.J. McCarthy is not healthy and on the field, they really weren't in that situation this year. I think they have to do that this year. But I think Kevin O'Connell will do that.
See, Marty, I'm just a hey-nass former player, and you're just a positive general manager who sees the best in every player. Like, that's the difference in us. Or I'm just like, the guy stinks. But I don't see it. And you, the optimist, because that's your job, right? To see the best in players. You just think everyone's going to be good. It's a good contrast to have. Or I'm the former guy who's like, that guy stinks. And you're no, it's got a chance. It's good to have a little yin yang, man.
Well, and that's the thing, because as a general manager, you're looking at traits, right? So let's go back to Malik Willis. There were traits he had in college that were elite, blue traits, couldn't get any better, right? But he came from a program, didn't have a great offensive line, and he just needed time and experience. And a guy like that, you see him then and you see what he needs, and then he trots out on the field the other night for the Packers and does what he does, and you say, whoa. I mean, if I was a team, I would be looking to see what they would be asking for Malik Willis right now. I think he would be a great guy for a team that needs a quarterback to be aggressive and go get.
So you're the Vikings. Who are you targeting? Is it Malik Willis? If you're bringing competition from McCarthy, the veteran market's not great. You're probably not paying for Kyler Murray. Cousins ain't coming back. I don't know. Tua I'd say no to Tua. It's not a great group of like quarterbacks. The quarterback class in college is not great. I don't know what the options are unless you want to go a Mariota route, right? Just like, or maybe Geno Smith becomes available as a backup type quarterback. The Raiders go get someone else. Maybe Deshaun Watson is healthy and he's available. I guess would just kind of run down quarterbacks in my head. Not a lot of great options for Minnesota though, right? To have a bring-in competition for McCarthy.
No, I was just thinking when you're going through those names, gosh, now I know why I never slept at night, because I had too many meetings like this where you're getting options, and every option you're saying, no. So it's not easy when you're looking for a quarterback. But again, I have total faith. I think the Vikings are a good organization, and I think they've got one of the best head coaches in the league, and they're going to figure it out. I still think they do not want to give up on J.J. McCarthy, but the injury status that you brought up, that is very, very real. They've just got to find somebody that can come in and compete, or at least be a guy who, if something does happen to J.J., he can come in and win some games for you.
Let's get to the nightcap here. Broncos, Chiefs. Broncos favored by 12.5. I've already bet on the Broncos at -12. The Chiefs are just dead. This is what it is, Marty. No Mahomes, no Gardner Minshew. They just signed Shane Bushell back to be their backup quarterback, who probably might end up starting at some point, because Oladokian is not the guy. He's just not. The thing that's most frustrating right now, being a Chiefs fan, is not the winning and losing. I mean, look, we've had a great run. It is what it is. You're going to eventually peter out. It's the fact that they're not playing the young guys yet, Marty. They drafted a running back in the 7th round who got 0 carries yesterday. Why is Pacheco getting 8 carries? Why is Hunt getting 3 carries? They drafted linebackers, Jeffrey Bossa, who is not playing very much, in the 4th round. They drafted a wide receiver, Royals. I forget where they drafted him. Third round, Marty? 3rd round, somewhere around there, not playing. What's the point? Why are we, if you're playing, you're out of the playoffs. Play all the young guys. Why are we not playing the young guys, Marty? Would you have a discussion with a coach?
Yes.
Maybe Andy Reid's in charge of this, but like, hey, man, like, can we play the young guys, please?
Yes. And a lot of times I can tell you there's canned responses. He's not ready. He doesn't, they don't trust him barely. Well, and that's what I would say. Gosh, you're bringing these memories up of all these meetings, Geoff, that I would have. That's what I would say. But they're not playing them for a reason. And whatever that reason is, it's not the right reason, because when you draft them, when you sign them, you have to put them out on the field, just in certain packages. I mean, we would say, listen, just make up a package for the guy. We just want to see his traits and his skill set out there and see how he translates. So yes, they should be playing the young guys.
Do you ever have a Jeff Schwartz U tight end package that was discussed? Because I have good hands. I know that I can't run, but I have good hands. You should have put a Jeff Schwartz U package.
I wasn't in those meetings.
Not those meetings.
I fought for you, though.
I know you did. I appreciate it. I think Denver is going to smash Kansas City, as we've talked about here. And then moving along to the Chargers would play the Broncos here for the AFC West, presumably, and worth noting here that again, to win the division right now, the Broncos -310, Chargers +240. Let's talk about Chargers. They are a big game on Saturday against Houston. This is the first Saturday game in a slate of good Saturday games. This game is in Los Angeles. Chargers favored by 2.5, total 39.5. And Marty, big game for both teams, right? Chargers trying to keep pace at the AFC West in the wild card. Houston as well, trying to keep pace with Jacksonville, also trying to be a wild card team. I think this game is very low scoring. you have a situation where Justin Herbert's playing incredible. He's playing great. But this Houston defensive line, buddy, against the Chargers offensive line, holy moly. This is going to be a 12, 22, 23 personnel game for the Chargers. They're going to try to shorten this game. They're going to try to run the ball as best they can and limit the opportunities for Herbert to have to actually drop back and pass. I like the Texans, the Chargers defense against the Texans offensive line. I think it's a low-scoring game.
Yeah, I agree with you. It's a low-scoring game, and I have to lean to the Chargers on this. Listen, these are two teams with really good head coaches. Okay, I respect both these guys a lot, and the Texans are starting to play better. I think C.J. Stroud's getting better each week, but the Chargers just have some grit to them, a Jim Harbaugh toughness to them that they're really starting to kind of puff their chests out and talk about. And, they were going around after the game yesterday saying the worm has turned. I guess that's the saying that Harbaugh uses with them in the locker room. And you can see this Chargers group is getting very, very tight knit. And Jim Harbaugh is really the reason for all of it. You can see how much they respect his leadership. I think that their toughness, this organization, they weren't known for tough teams. They were known for a San Diego team that can score. And
Superchargers.
They're a tough team.
Yeah.
They are a tough team now, mentally tough.
Harbaugh is saying, who has it better than us? Nobody. My wife's in the corporate world, Marty. And she texted me one time. So I just got off a meeting, and the host used this Belichick quote, like the coach of the Patriots. I'm like, yes, I know. And she said he said who's got better than us, and we were supposed to repeat nobody. I'm like, that's Jim Harbaugh, first of all. And then I showed her the locker room clips of Jim Harbaugh. She's like, you guys talk like this? I'm like, yeah. It's what's what? I don't know. Who's got better than us? Nobody. He has Harbaugh has 4 different things he does in the post game. Right, they high five each other, right? They all do a high five around. They do the and then they do a primal yell as one of them. I just love. Look, man, winning is so hard in the NFL. It's the only thing that makes anyone happy. I've been on both sides of it. I've been on a 12-4, 2 seed with the Panthers. I've been on 11-5, 5 seed with the Chiefs. I've been on a 2-14 team. I've been in the middle, or I've been right in the middle, 7-9, 8.
There with you.
There's nothing. The whole week of preparations to win. Your job, what you do, what we do, is to win. That's what we try to do. So Jim Harbaugh can have as many sayings as he wants. You win. That's what it's about. And so Harbaugh continues to do that. I like the under in this game. This is a big game for the AFC, right? It'd be a fun game in this conference. We'll talk more about some of the big games that we see right now for this week. Next, on the show, presented by DraftKings Network.
You're listening to the GM Shuffle, presented by DraftKings and VSiN.
We're back on the GM Shuffle here as we get into the previewing of the rest of the slate. Remember, go back to our episode yesterday. Our best bets will be there for this slate, but we'll have a few as we go here. We were talking about a team or two that we would like to give a gift to this season. And independently, Marty, we came with the same team. And that's the Buffalo Bills. And the gift that I know they've received already is that there is no Patrick Mahomes in the postseason. There's potentially no Lamar Jackson in the postseason. There's no Joe Burrow in the postseason. And this is the gift they have been given. They've been given the gift of the previous hurdles to getting to Super Bowl have been removed. They have their own hurdles to deal with. They host Philly this weekend. The total is 43.5. That was 45. It got steamed down today. Bills here by 2.5 here. What are your thoughts about Eagles-Bills?
Well, it's a good timing for the Bills with the Eagles clinching the NFC East. And, it's funny, Geoff, we're talking about all these teams, and I feel like the Eagles are just there kind of hiding, waiting. They've had we've been picking on them all year. Everybody's been talking about all their issues, and it's they've gotten quiet right now. So I'm really kind of keeping my eye on them, but it's gonna this is an interesting weekend. There will be an upset this weekend. There will be a game that shocks you, and whether it's this one or not, I don't know. But I just again, I like the Chargers with minus 1.5, and then I think the Bills have to play off that momentum, right?
Yeah.
I mean, and the Eagles really don't have anything to play for. They're pretty much locked into the third seed.
Yes, they're locked in the third seed because the NFC. I mean, I guess technically speaking, they can finish 10-7, and so can the Panthers. And I don't know who is a tiebreaker between Panthers and Eagles at this point. I don't think the Eagles are going to worry about that. The Eagles do get the Commanders at home though, week 18. Buffalo obviously need to win this game to keep pace with the Patriots, as Buffalo has the Eagles and they play the Jets. So they want to win the division, have a home playoff game. This is a big win. I get the Eagles defense, Marty, assuming Jalen Carter's back, I think against that Bills offense. The Bills offense just don't have a ton of weapons. We talked about this many times. They run the football really well, but Eagles stop the run very well, right? Does Josh Allen have to make those YOLO plays probably a lot in this game, which is, can be good and bad, right? We know that. On the flip side, though, the Bills defense just sort of lets every offense do what they want. And the Eagles offense has their problems, but against this Buffalo Bills defense doesn't matter. So I'll give you an example. The Bills allowed 32 points to Tampa Bay, then 23 to Davis Mills-led Texans, 34 to the Bengals, 35 to the Patriots, and 20 against the Browns. The Browns stink on offense. So right. I'm concerned about their ability to stop the Eagles, but also the Eagles just shorten the game up by running the football and saying, hey, man, can you beat us? I don't think you can.
Yeah, I mean, what they've been doing the last couple of weeks, giving it to Saquon, think you do it again. And listen, the Eagles have motivation here because to me, there were so many questions with them, and they've had the last 2 weeks, they've beaten the Raiders and the Commanders. But I think there's a statement not only to the public, but to themselves that, hey, listen, everybody says we got problems and are messed up. We're going to come in. We're going to beat the Buffalo Bills here. We didn't even need to win this game. We're going to beat the Bills. We're going to keep momentum going into the playoffs. I think that's really important to keep momentum going into the playoffs. And I do think that the Eagles will look to make a statement here. The Bills at home in December are extremely tough, and I'm going to stick with that. And they do need the game more. But the Eagles will definitely come up there trying to prove a point and send a message to the league and really to everybody inside their organization.
I wonder what the weather is like. I always wonder what the weather's like this time of year in Buffalo. Always could matter a game like, but Eagles are uniquely built to play in the snow, though, right? Like that's
the weather's not going to hurt either one of these teams.
Okay,
in my opinion. So.
A little guilty pleasure, like sitting at home with the blanket on, watching the terrible weather on TV. I used to text my brother and be like, "Hope it was good, buddy." I was very comfortable. I was very comfortable there. You know my favorite thing to text. My brother played 9 years in the NFL. It was 4-time All-Pro, and he won a Super Bowl with the Chiefs. So I would text my brother when he had he gave up a sack or something. He'd be like beside himself. He'd give up one sack a year, like he's a perfectionist. And I would text him. I'd be like, "Hey man, did the check clear this week? Like it's okay. You'll be all right." Like did the check? I'm like, buddy, the check cleared. You'll be fine. It's probably why he's better than me. Such a perfectionist. I mean, he just 2 or 3 plays a game would just eat him alive. Or I just wasn't good enough to let 2 or 3 plays bother me because there were 3 or 4 or 5, 6 more plays that needed to be addressed. So that's where I sat with difference in me and my brother. Sunday Night Football, Niners and Bears. As we record this, Niners and Colts have not played yet, so we don't know the result of that game, but obviously very important game here. Niners favored by 3, but plus 100 right now, so likely go back to 2.5. Marty, quite simply, I don't know if the Bears can keep getting away with this. I mean, 6 games this year, they've been trailing under 2 minutes left and won. They should not have won last week, but they did. There's a belief in them that they have in themselves, I should say. That's impressive. I I lean Niners here, though. I think the Niners will control the line of scrimmage a little bit better. They'll run the ball. They will take care of business. I do worry about their lack of pass rush. That does concern me. Solo, I think we'll have some fun stuff drawn up. So I lean here to the Niners, which sets up a potential Niners-Seahawks Week 18 game for the NFC.
I think, Geoff, for the Bears, when you're used to being in a lot of close games and then you're used to winning those games, you've won a lot of them, you have the advantage going into the playoffs, because if you're in these games, you're saying to yourself, we've done this 6-7 times before this year. We're going to win this game. The year we made the Super Bowl in 2002 with the Panthers, I mean, we won, I think, a couple overtime games. There were a bunch of games late. There was a game we were in Tampa, and I was up in the press box, and we were up by 6, and Tampa marched down and scored a touchdown to tie the game up with less than a minute left. All they had to do was kick the extra point, and I got my stuff up and walked down to the locker room. I got to the locker room. Chris Jenkins had blocked the extra point. We won and won the game in overtime. And it's that confidence. It's almost like somebody's going to make a play to win a game for you. That's where the Bears are right now. So that's a dangerous team to play. And now the 49ers, I can't say enough. I mean, that's what Kyle Shanahan has done, and Jim Harbaugh is just, to me, they are both worthy of Coach of the Year honors. But San Francisco, if you told me 4 weeks ago that San Francisco would be in a position to win out and get the top seed in the NFC, I would think you were crazy, but they are, and they can do that. And they've got, the Bears and the Seahawks. And then, as you say, we don't know what the Colts situation is. They play tonight, but what a phenomenal job Shanahan has done with this team.
Coach of the Year, according to DraftKings, Vrabel, favorite even money. Then Mike McDonald, Seattle's head coach, Ben Johnson, Liam Cohen, Kyle Shanahan, a huge jump to Harbaugh, Canales, and Payton. So the top 5, Vrabel, McDonald, Johnson, Cohen, and Shanahan here. The one thing about what you said about the belief and being able to win is a huge part of it, except I think that when the postseason comes, I like to fade those teams, because the postseason is a different type of animal. And I only played in 2 wildcard games, and then I didn't play in the division round game, but I got to experience it from the sidelines. And I was told by my offensive line coach, the late Dave Magazoo, like, the speed of the game picks up basically exponentially every round of the playoffs. And you certainly felt on the wild card round, on the divisional round. My brother has backed us up. And when you do, the Bears have not been there before. They're not going to get away with some of these things in the postseason. It's just not going to happen. But for right now, obviously, they are. One more game that we want to get to here before we get out of here. Remember, our best bets, if you're looking for those, our last show is where they're at. We can maybe pass them along to you at the end of the show here, but we want to get in the Seahawks at the Panthers. The numbers moving around now. Seahawks favored by 7.5. We mentioned this on Monday's show. The Panthers don't have to win this game, but this is a culture game for Carolina, right? Where if you win this game and the Bucs lose to the Dolphins, you win the division in Week 17, not Week 18. So I'm really looking forward to this game. Seattle, though, for the most part, has handled business pretty handily in these games. Very good test for Bryce Young against the Seattle defense. I'm really looking forward to this game, Marty.
I am too, Geoff, and I always felt good. Listen, Seattle, I've used this, and it hasn't worked at times, but that trip, being the away team, Seattle playing at Carolina, basically their body clocks are at 10 in the morning, right, when the game kicks off. So I think that's a factor. I don't know how big a factor, but I do think that's a factor. The Panthers got to be able to run the ball. And I think that the Panthers defense can kind of hold the Seahawks to be pretty honest. I don't think this is a very high scoring game. I think the Seahawks are the better team right now, but the Panthers have just, again, I haven't gotten them right because they've been very inconsistent, but you get the feeling they're starting to hit that stride and be consistent.
9 straight weeks, win, loss, win, loss, win, loss, win. Can the 10th week now be the Seahawks? Like, can you play your best game here the season. This will be, I think, again, it's a culture test for the Panthers, what Canales is building there. But clearly, the drafting of the current rookie class, the free agent class, everything Dan Morgan's done there has been a home run. And so the Panthers are in a position now to win the NFC South, host a home playoff game. Marty, any last parting words before we get done here previewing Week 17?
Well, I think that this season more than any, Geoff, has shown you how unpredictable this league is. And, if you look at the teams who are eligible to be just number one seeds, there's a lot of them left with 2 weeks left. So it's been a great year.
It's been a very fun year. It's been wild because the favorites are not the favorites, right? They're not winning, and other teams are doing a great job. So hopefully that continues this week. We know, and thank you guys for joining the show here. Please leave us a rating, review, subscribe. Always appreciate it. Happy holidays, everyone. We'll talk to you guys next week. Take care, everybody.